Being away from your family is one of the hardest parts about cruising, and it's a part that people don't talk about a whole lot. Being away from family at the holiday time can be even harder. Listen in as I share some of our favorite and not so favorite holiday memories from our last couple of times out cruising. Hi, I'm Nika Waters, and welcome to the Boat Galley Podcast, your podcast source for cruising advice and inspiration.
Slow down, slow down.
Today's episode of the Boat Galley Podcast is sponsored by Quahog Bay Bedding, offering custom bedding for your boat-shaped mattress. Make making the bed on board easy and fast with cinch fit bedding coordinated with blankets and toppers. Sleeping on board has never been more comfy or as easy. Visit quahogbaybedding.com, that's QUAHOGBAY bedding.com, and use coupon code PODCAST for free shipping through July 2019. So here's one of the things about going sailing and going cruising, is that by nature it means that you're going away from places that you love and places that you've been. Our first Christmas cruising was terrible. This was a long time before everybody had phones and everybody had cameras that they were taking pictures of everything. And actually, I'm not even sure if I'd had an iPhone at that point in time that I would have taken any pictures. It was pretty terrible. We tend to curate and take pictures of the things we want to remember, not the things we'd rather forget. And I have to tell you, I would not want to remember this particular Christmas. The year before we left the dock, we got married in a really small ceremony on my grandmother's front lawn. We were married outside in the snow with dogs, and the justice of the peace was the stepmother of one of my really good friends from elementary school. I can't say that we remember anything much about Christmas from that year, but the whole party atmosphere and the family and friends and just the joy and celebration, that is totally unforgettable. The following year, we were anchored somewhere in Florida, waiting to cross the Gulf Stream to the Bahamas. There were 3 other boats, I think, in the anchorage when we woke up on, I think it was Christmas Eve day. We woke up then thinking, oh, great, we're going to invite people and they're going to come over. We're going to have a great holiday party on the boat. It's going to be amazing. Everybody will have a good time. I had provisioned what I thought was going to be just the best thing ever for onboard cooking, which was a canned ham and some canned potatoes and canned green beans. I don't do that. If I can stop you from buying almost any of those things, particularly not if you think it's going to be a fantastic, amazing dinner, it's not. I'll take the worry out of it right there. Don't do it. Don't. It's not recommended. One by one, the other boats left the anchorage. The ham was slimy. The potatoes are bizarre in a can. And the green beans, if you've ever had canned green beans, it won't surprise you to hear that they were just plain mush. We ate by ourselves in a lonely anchorage in a really cold, early dark Florida night in late December, and I have a feeling I probably slunk up to the V-berth and cried myself to sleep. Is this how cruising was going to be? I will tell you that this was the low point of holidays on board. And since then, we have had some seriously memorable ones. Really, really good memories since then. There was a year that we celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving kind of at the same time in Grenada with Darren and Sherry on board their boat Elixir. We had pork loin and stewed cabbage that we could get at the local market. And we laughed about the differences between Thanksgiving traditions in Canada and the United States, and also celebrations. We could find pork and stewed cabbage and yummy things like that in the Grenada market. And those aren't things that we necessarily would have thought would be, they certainly wouldn't fit on a regular Thanksgiving table in either one of our respective backgrounds. There was a Christmas, I think it was Christmas, it might have been Thanksgiving, that we spent at Chacachacari in Trinidad. Chacachacari is an abandoned leper colony, and when you go, it's almost like they got the word that there had been a cure found for leprosy one morning, and they literally left in droves. You can walk around, or you could back in the 90s, you could walk around this colony that from It's offshore. It's on an island that's offshore from Port of Spain and Trinidad. And you go to it and you look around and you look and you think, oh, it must be inhabited. There must still be people there. And at least when we were there in the early 90s, when you went in, it was as if people literally had shoved their chairs away from the table with food still on it and left because they could. It was a little eerie, a little weird, and also a superbly cool place to have a celebration dinner. And I guess it must have been Christmas when I look at the napkins that were made. Nina on Red Baron made napkins for all of us for that dinner, and I still have them, and they've got holly leaves and poinsettias on them. So it must have been Christmas and not Thanksgiving. But there were 5 boats, and we all were anchored in the anchorage there, and we ferried dishes and table linens and plates and we set up with lots of candles and lights and all this sort of thing. And we had the most fantastic, amazing dinner, all of us together. I think we're all fancily dressed in whatever the heck that means for cruisers, but it was unbelievable. And there's a picture on my blog that I've linked to in the show notes from a picture with all of us, and you can see the table that's there. And that table was there. It was just, we didn't bring the table with us. It was there in that building. There was one Christmas that we spent in Puerto Rico at Roosevelt Roads Naval Station. The people we met there who hosted us were people who we'd met via ham radio when we were in Venezuela. And we got in contact with them, and they said, hey, why don't you come and spend Christmas with us in Puerto Rico? And then there was a time, right the last time, that we took the kids and we went for a year. And we started out the cruise. Granted, we'd been already gone for, I guess it was pretty close to 6 weeks. But we had 4 of us for dinner down below in Calypso at Double-Breasted Keys in the Abacos in the Bahamas. Followed closely by Christmas in Hopetown with a crew of about 25 people between family and friends. One of the things that I've come to really love about cruising holidays is that they are really how you want them to be. As I look back on that first Christmas that was so incredibly miserable, I think what I was hoping to do was to recreate something that I'd had before. That I was trying to recreate that feeling of bustle and amazing food and all of that stuff. And I wasn't able to recreate it on my small little boat. Since then, the other really memorable holidays have been, how do I celebrate where I am? There's no way that I would think about ferrying table linens and food and glasses and candles from one house to another in the States when I'm with family. But when we were in Trinidad, it absolutely was just the right thing to do. The focus with cruising holidays is so solidly on connection. And I guess that's the way it is on land too, but somehow it didn't translate for me until I've just been thinking about this and writing about it and speaking it. And sometimes that's a connection that's just on board with you, or it's a connection with a larger group of people. And I think that first Christmas, I didn't connect, no pun intended, I didn't connect the importance of Christmas with connection. I didn't link it with connecting with ourselves. I don't think that having horrible food helped at all, because a canned ham, it is not anything special, I gotta tell you. Might be great if you were going to chop it up and put it into an omelet, but as the centerpiece for Christmas dinner, not recommended. As we contemplate the next cruising phase of our lives, I'm really, really looking forward to simple, grounded holiday celebrations. Maybe it's taken a lot of time for me to get there. Maybe it's because I'm, older and wiser, which makes me laugh. There's something simple and grounded and just incredible about making those connections. And that's not to say I won't miss family. Sure I will. But I'm hoping that some of these lessons that I've learned can help me bring the spirit and joy of that connection that I have with family to wherever it is that we happen to be for holidays. Who knows? Maybe you and I will share an anchorage sometime, on a sundowner or more, and we'll toast together to our incredible joy at being able to connect with one another and just celebrate life. Happy, happy, happy 2019. Thanks for listening. If you like the show, please be sure to subscribe in your podcast app. Just search for the Boat Galley Podcast, and reviews are always appreciated. Until next time, then.